But there are still some guys who haven't been signed yet in free agency. Obviously, the big one, Deandre Ayton. Where the heck is Ayton going to end up? Because I really, really have a hard time believing it's going to be staying in Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't know. See, the thing is like he wants the max, but I don't think anyone's going to give him the max. So it's like by default, is he just going to stay in Phoenix? And if that's the case, how do you
mesh that relationship?
Right. The only team that I think would be kind of cool, I know we just mentioned them, but Portland, they haven't signed Nurkic yet. So maybe they're like waiting, trying to form something to where they can get Ayton. So then that way they're just like,
is there a chance of a swap of Nurkic and Ayton?
I feel like that's not enough, but
no, I don't either. I think Ayton has so much more potential. I don't know what you do. Mitch Robinson is also a free agent. So Phoenix on the flip end, if they think, you know what, we don't even want to think about Ayton, they could look at a guy like Mitch Robinson who is a step down, but is still a quality center in the NBA. If they still have the hopes and dreams of, trying to contend in the West, which it really hasn't been a pretty couple days for the Phoenix Suns, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do for the rest of free agency now. But Devin Booker's going to get paid, so good for him, but I don't really know what Phoenix is going to do here.
Yeah, Mitch Robinson's also most likely going to re-sign with the Knicks on a 4-year, $60 million deal. That was broke yesterday. And so the center market is closing, like we just heard. Andre Drummond and DeAndre Jordan, and the bigs are flying off the board. And so as the time goes on, where a deal like a sign and trade is not completed for DeAndre Ayton, it becomes more and more likely that they're going to be forced to run it back. And, that's going to be awkward, but it's looking like that's a possibility. We mentioned Atlanta earlier, but I still think that they're a suitor for a trade for DeAndre Ayton if they gave John Collins and Clint Capella the 2-up, or you could do Clint Capella and Bogdan Bogdanovic, and that gives Phoenix their big and another wing to add to their team. It's interesting. But yeah, Phoenix has some figuring out to do. They gotta figure something out.
Yeah, Phoenix is in a really weird spot.
Yeah.
It almost feels like things are just in shambles. I don't know where they go. They can't necessarily run it back with the team they got because they lost by 50 to Dallas in Game 7 at home. You need to change something.
I don't know how you can run it back after watching that performance. I mean, in front of your home fans, the biggest game of your season, and that's what happens. And they can't run it back because JaVale McGee also didn't resign, but he signed with Dallas today on a 3-year deal. So it is a very tense time here in the Valley because Phoenix is just trying to figure out what the heck they need to do because the lifespan of Chris Paul is kind of coming to an end as well. He's not getting any younger. His health isn't going to be any better. It's kind of getting to that point for Phoenix.
It is. Another trade I just remembered seeing on Twitter yesterday, a trade idea, and it involves the Toronto Raptors, who we already talked about, and the Suns would be a sign and trade DeAndre Ayton to Toronto for OG Anunoby. And so you get a guy that can play the 4 and defensively bring something to the table. They would still have to go out and find that center, though. Yeah. Just an interesting trade idea.
Yeah, that is interesting. But the hole that the Suns would need to fill at the center position, what? You're gonna have Bismack Biyombo be your starting center? That just creates a big hole. I feel like you need to get some sort of center back in any trade with Ayton, just because the free agent market for centers is. There's not really anything out there. Yeah, unless there's a different trade too. They don't just have to, there's talks of Jay Crowder being traded. And a lot of teams are interested in that. So maybe even if they get OG back, maybe they can get a center back with a Jay Crowder trade. I don't know, just throwing something out there. Yeah. But yeah, the Suns have a lot of retooling that they need to do. I would honestly love for them to upgrade their backup point guard. Because I don't think Payton, but Campaign. I don't think he does it. I think they've kind of, in a sense, wasted the knowledge and wisdom that Chris Paul had or has, like he could have been mentoring a young point guard right now to basically take over for him and at least get more minutes, like playing during the season. So interesting to see what they do, but I don't know. I feel like once that domino falls, that's when the season begins.
It feels like there's just this ticking time bomb, and you're looking around the room and you're trying to find it, but it feels like there's an explosion that might be coming soon.
Hey, thanks for watching. Before you leave, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're the only NBA show focused on covering your favorite small market teams. Find us on all social media platforms at Small Ball Podcast.